Happy Friday morning and welcome to another edition of Distance Learning 101 here on ABC WTVA. I'm Greg Ellis and I am honored today to be joined by Miss Sharonda Evans, a kindergarten teacher at Thomas Street Elementary. You've been in the district for 16 years.
Yes.
A Starkville native and Mississippi State graduate of Hill State. Our Ole Miss fans don't get upset. We'll do a hottie toddy one day for them. So you are going to give us a little reading lesson this morning. We're going to have all kind of different things that we're going to do. So kind of explain what you're going to teach this morning, what those who are watching can anticipate and things like that.
Okay, so I came up with this idea for this lesson today once we started the discussion about distance learning. And you know, with kindergarten, how do we get kindergartners to sit in front of a computer and actually work lessons? On top of that, you know, just working with the parents. This is all new to parents. So what could we have done to make it more active and more engaging for the parents as well as the students? So my lesson today focuses on active engagement and different strategies that we will be able to use in the distance learning classroom. Perfect.
So the first couple of weeks with this, when we first made the transition to distance learning, was it kind of a trial and error? This is what worked, this didn't work, or how was the process for you in kind of finalizing your lesson plans?
Well, the first week we had about a week to get the lesson together. So I had to do a lot of researching and talking with other kindergarten teachers across the district just to see how can we get this rolling and make it comfortable for the parents because it was just such of a short notice. So that's when we came up with making sure that the lessons were hands-on experiences, interactive, anything engaging that would get those little minds going and just make them have fun while they're actually learning.
How much time did your students every day spend, or did you do it a couple of days a week? How did you, in continuing, how did you, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? What was your expectations of the student? Okay,
for kindergarten, you know, across the district, everybody had we had to make sure that the lessons were about 20 to 30 minutes long. And so with that, in that kindergartners, they did have lessons every single day. And a math lesson was about 20 to 30 minutes, as well as the ELL or the ELA.
Did you have good participation?
Yes, I did. Actually, when I went into my Google Classroom, out of 17 students, I had 14 students enrolled, and they were engaged, working in Google Meet when I would have the Google Meets.
Did you do it all at once, or did you kind of, depending on the kid, you have a morning session, an afternoon session? How did you teach virtually?
Well, kindergarten was a little bit different from the upper grades. We actually posted the lessons, and the parents could work at their own pace. So we would post the lessons on a Friday, and then that would give them time to look over them, get activities, get materials, anything they needed, and then they would be ready for Monday. And then what some kindergarten teachers did, along with myself, we would probably have a Google Meet on a Thursday or Friday, talk about the lesson or do some extension activities with the students.
Gotcha. Did you get did parents have a lot of questions for you to begin with? Because it was very new to them as well.
Yes, on the first Google Meet, I think the parents spoke more than the students, and they were more worried about, you know, how we're going to submit these lessons, what's going to happen. So once I talked to them and explained exactly what was happening, and they saw that it was going to be hands-on experiences, then they just kind of took it and flew with it.
Awesome. All right, well, let's start. Let's dive in and let's learn today.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about engaging kindergartners using hands-on experiences. One of my favorites and my students' favorites, I think the parents got involved with it as well, with the Scavenger Hunts that I would do at the Google Meets. And then just a lot of the interactive videos, especially with Jack Hartman.
Gotcha. I had never heard of Jack Hartman until we started doing this show. And it's a very popular video series online.
Yes, Jack Hartman kind of leads our classroom lessons. Yes. So what I want to talk about first is just giving the parents just some different ideas of things they can use at home. And these were actually things that we had in our lesson plans so that they don't have to go out and buy things to actually do these lessons, just things around the house. So for hands-on experiences so that students are able to manipulate, they could use things like sugar, salt, rice, alphabet cereal, shaving cream, Play-Doh, pebbles, rocks, gems, anything they can get that's manipulative for those students to use. And throughout today, I'll actually show you how we will be using some of those activities.
And everybody's going to have at least 3 or 4 of those items, if not all those items, somewhere in their house. And
then we'll talk today about showing the students actually how to visualize and actually see these lessons come to life. And that's just using your pictures, using objects, having them to create models. Like I told you, the entire kindergarten lesson was a hands-on experience for the students.
Gotcha. Now, how long would it take for a kindergarten student, let's say, and I know every kid is different, but on average, of doing their own visualization and bringing it to life as opposed to you reading it and telling them, I mean, to make that transition to that next stage? Is that pretty quick for most?
It's pretty quick for most of them because when they enter kindergarten, that's one of the strategies that we immediately start teaching.
Okay.
How to visualize, how to see. And we're an art integrated district, so a lot of our art prints are, what do you see? What makes you see this? How do you know this is what this is? So just a lot of implements. So they're able to take all those different strategies and skills and put them together and actually implement and come up with their visualization. Okay.
All right.
And then we'll talk about auditory interaction, which is very important for kindergarten, and that's just using the interactive learning videos, the movement videos like with Jack Hartman, and the Sightwork song video. So I do have one video here.
Okay.
And it's with Jack Hartman, and it's going to actually have some movement with them. And they're going to be doing syllables. Let's see. So it just kind of looks like, and here what Jack Hartman's going to be doing, he's going to have them getting up, moving, counting the syllables with a chomp, a clap, a stomp, anything to keep them from just sitting in that chair at home.
Make it fun.
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll just look at a little bit of it.
So would this be one of the first videos that you would show?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now listen carefully. Everybody follow me and move to the syllables in words.
I'm going to be humming that the rest of the day.
Clap. Classroom. Monkey. Yellow.
So when you have them listen to this, do you go back and then just you talk to the students about what they've seen? Is that the process?
Yes, it's actually how we would actually open a lesson, which is what we call our opening set, setting up the lesson for the students, just getting them involved and just giving them that experience before we actually start teaching the lesson. And that's kind of what we did with the distance learning. We would have the video first, and then we would go into the lesson. Because those little minds, they can always go back and relate to the song. Like you said, you would be singing that song in your head all day, and that's what we want them to do. We want them to be able to actually remember those words and actually relate it back and have that connection.
Okay.
Okay. And then we have something we do with sight word songs that I won't sing today because I'm not a singer, but my kindergartners seem to think that I can sing.
Well, feel free to sing.
We just had with sight words because they had to continue to learn those sight words. And so I had to think about what can we do to continue to learn those sight words on distance learning.
And can you kind of explain what sight words are?
Yes, those are the high frequency words that the students have to know, such as like the, do, it, was. Those are the very first words that starts them to beginning to read.
Gotcha.
So I had to think when we first did the lesson plan, how am I going to get the students still learning those sight words, but at the same time having fun, because that was my thing, keeping them fun, having engaged, because just giving them the flashcards, it just would have went the other way. So what I did, I went back to YouTube again, because YouTube is our friend in kindergarten, and I just found one of the songs that we do, and these are pretty simple. Parents can use it at home. It's to like Jingle Bells, Old MacDonald's. You wouldn't believe all the different songs that will go with the different words. And it's just, you just have to think about, is it a 2-letter word to a 6-letter word? There are even songs for 8-letter words.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, and the students love it. They're up off the carpet. And so I actually had parents to actually send me pictures and videos of the students up, and that was probably the funnest part of the lesson for them.
Love that.
So I'm going to do the one on do today for you, just to let you hear.
All right, well, let's
see.
do this too.
Okay.
If you're watching and the kids are participating in this, parents, take pictures and then put it on Twitter, and let's use hashtag TPSD, and let's see what kind of interaction we get.
Okay.
D-O. Do.
I do wish I could sing.
And actually, do you know what tune that is from?
I don't.
Hi Ho Cheerio.
Now I do,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
And so that's when we get to bring back from pre-K all of the nursery rhymes and all of those fun songs. So they know the tune, and when they know the tune, I know actually in my classroom when I would just give like just a quick assessment to see if they could spell the words, and I would call it out, and you can see them tapping their little hands and singing the tune.
So it helps
So
if they're
it helps.
familiar.
Yes. Yes.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to continue learning our sight words and much, much more. This is Distance Learning 101. Welcome back to Distance Learning 101. I'm Greg Ellis, and I am with Miss Evans, who is a kindergarten teacher at Thomas Street. We've had fun with our sight words and some music that kids are going to resonate to and will be familiar with. So now let's go on to the next step, which is going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, we're going to talk about movement and engagement.
Okay.
Because a lot of the students, like I said before, they're at home, they're sitting at the kitchen table, and we've got to get them up to moving and actually enjoying the distance learning. So this is where we come up with the ideal of scavenger hunts.
Ooh.
And it gets the parents involved as well.
Family activities.
Yes. And as I told you earlier, I know with one of my Google Meets, one of my dad, he just kind of took over with his daughter's lesson, and he was running, trying to find the different things when we were doing a math scavenger hunt. So it just feels really good when the parents are involved as well and the students, and they giggle and they get to share the different things. So we'll start talking about scavenger hunts.
Well, when the kids see mom and dad or grandparents and uncles, whoever's in the household doing it, it makes it more fun for them as well, and they want to do it. So.
Yes, and it gives the parents an idea of what they can continue to do during the summer to, prevent that summer slide. Hey,
Right.
these are things that we can do at home, and it doesn't cost anything. We can just pull it up and just start working with our students.
Exactly.
Okay, so the first one is called the alphabet scavenger hunt, and here on my Google Meet, I would just say, okay, everybody, run and find something that begins with the letter A. And then they'll just take off running, trying to find it. Then they'll come back, and then they'll share what they found. But then I push it up a little bit, and I say, find something that begins with the K sound. So now it changes for them. So now they have to think about the letter, and they have to think about the sound. And then I'll even go even farther and say, can you find something in your kitchen that has the letter C on it? So now we've taken it from the identification to actually being able to see it.
Gotcha, which is what you talked about
Yes.
earlier.
Uh-huh.
Kind of like a ladder, you just build up.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Build up to it. And then also there's another letter scavenger hunt, and this is one that I do on Google Meet, and it says find something that moves that starts with the letter C. So not only are they having to find something that begins with the letter C, but it has to move. So yes. So because we know that in kindergarten we have to continue to work on those listening skills.
Right.
So there are lots of scavenger hunts out there where they have to actually listen to the keywords. For example, find something yellow that starts with a B sound. So just different ways to get them interactive and continue to just work on those skills and implement those standards into those skills.
Okay.
Okay. And then this is my favorite one. It's called Rhyming Scavenger Hunt. And I had a few parents that kind of got a little confused on this one because Rhyming can be hard, and that's one of our standards that we have to constantly work on is rhyming.
Okay.
So I had to make sure that I implemented the rhyming scavenger hunt. For example, find something that rhymes with moon.
Okay.
Now, I'll tell you why I started with this one, because I had a parent doing one of the Google Meets was only thinking about the OO, and she went and got a book. So she didn't really listen to it, but she was thinking about the word. She was seeing the word MOON, and so
Right.
she was just thinking about OO. And so actually,
book and moon don't
yes, and the child even said, "Book and moon does not rhyme."
I love the
and then
fact that the kid
yes,
caught
and the
that.
parent said, "Oh, now I get it." So she was looking more for like letter patterns.
Gotcha. And there is a difference.
Yes, there's a difference.
But we appreciate that mom's efforts.
Yes. And then we have one that I really loved using during our distance learning was our literacy walk. And it started off with find something that rhymes with B. And they
Okay.
would run and find something. Find an object that ends with the T sound.
Okay.
Find something that has 3 syllables. You know, name an object you see. Now name 3 more words that begin with the same beginning sound. Can you find 3 objects that begin with the same beginning sound? And so these are just different ways, like I said, to get them active and engaged in their learning process.
So at the kindergarten level, let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being easy, what would be the difficulty level for them starting doing that type of thing as you build on the scavenger hunt and things they have to find?
Well, it starts from the very beginning.
Okay.
And so I wouldn't have been able to implement these type of scavenger hunts had this happened at the beginning of the year. So it has to be a progression
makes
for
sense.
them.
Okay.
And so the level of this scavenger hunt would be about this time of year for students.
Okay.
And actually when I'm looking for the scavenger hunts, I'm actually looking for those scavenger hunts that are also going to work with our not only advanced students, but our strategic students,
Okay.
our basic students, so that they feel successful as well.
Gotcha.
And then I can't forget my ELL students.
That's right.
So we come with the shape scavenger hunt.
Okay.
And that starts to build with their vocabulary, you know, circle, triangle, square. We even have the scavenger hunt for rainbow, and that's the colors.
Love it.
Find something that is yellow. Can you think of an animal that is brown? So all that is auditory for our ELL students, and it gets them to build in their vocabulary as well.
Gotcha.
So one of my fun ones for math is the 2D shape scavenger hunt. And it's just like find a cookie or a cracker in the shape of a circle. Well, everybody probably has a chocolate chip cookie, and they can run and get the chocolate chip. You know, find an egg. Everybody has eggs in there. So anything that's around the home that you can use and implement will work great with these scavenger hunts. Find a square in the kitchen. Can you think of a square in your kitchen?
Yeah, my cutting board
Yes, the cutting board. A lot of the students thought about the squares on their floor.
or that. Yes.
So we're being able to take these standards and skills and relate them to real life experiences.
And that's what's fun, that we will all see something different. So nobody is going to have the
Yes.
same answers on everything. Like that.
And then this is the very last scavenger hunt, math scavenger hunt I did with the students as a review, because we still have to review. And it was with adding and subtracting. And this is the one that the students really enjoyed, and this is where that parent really got competitive. And the first one said, find 2 pencils and 1 blue crayon. So they would run and find the 2 pencils and the 1 blue crayon, but then here's the next part of the question. How many items do you have now? So now they have to come up with an addition sentence.
Gotcha.
And they would say 3, and I said, well, how do you know it's 3? Give me the addition sentence. 2 plus 1 equals 3.
2 pencils, 1 crayon.
Yes, And so then I would ask them, how did you know that we were adding? And they all just kind of said, because you said how many. So just being able to bring back in those vocabulary words and that academic vocabulary for those students works wonders.
So you're accomplishing almost like 3 things at once.
Yes.
Doing that. That's great.
So today I've talked about a lot of different things that we can do to keep the students active and engaged. So today I want you to become a kindergartner. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to practice our sight words, writing our sight words. And remember I said, you can just find things around the home. This is
Right.
actually just my little cookie sheet. And then this is what we call sugar. And the parent would just pour it.
We're gonna make chocolate chip cookies?
I wish. And we would spread it out.
Like sand.
And remember our sight word song from earlier today? What was it?
Do.
Do. D-O, do. Can you take your 2 fingers and write the letter D?
D.
And we always tell them to use the 2-finger technique because that actually helps them with forming their pencil.
Almost looks like a circle. But I promise you, it's a D.
Can you write the letter O?
Can I just?
Yes,
It's like
uh-huh,
what is it? The magnet thing you just shake and starts over.
Very good. D-O, do. So that's one way that you can use the sand or the sugar or the salt.
And that's gonna help them.
Yes.
Remember it.
Yes,
Well,
and then it's sensory.
Yes.
It's sensory for those students
And I
because
got-
we can't forget.
Come on.
Okay, so that's one of the one of the ELA lessons that we use. Now, another lesson, because I'm really big on reading, and I really like this one. This is one of the activities we did. And it said the parent will place 3 objects beginning with the same letter sound in a bag. The student will pull out each item out of the bag and guess the mystery letter beginning sound. So,
Okay.
I want you to pull out all of those items. And as you pull them out, will you name them for me?
All right. Pencil.
Uh-huh.
Number 2 pencil? Sure. Penny. 1 cent. Paper. Puzzle.
Puzzle, very good. So what sound does all of those words make?
Well, it's a P. So different forms of a P. P and P.
So it's the letter P. So what we just did not only was teaching the standards and the skills from the classroom and a lesson from here, but I also just hit one of the biggest MCAS standards.
Okay.
Because that is one of the ones the students struggle with. They give them pictures, and they have to be able to find all of the pictures that begin with that sound.
Gotcha.
Or that are common with each other. So when we're thinking about these distance learning lessons, we have to think not only in the classroom, but of course our state assessments as well.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, Miss Evans, thank you so much for coming in, and I'll clean this up for
Okay.
you if you'll take care of the sugar.
Okay.
Hope you're having a great summer, and I know people are going to be watching. And don't forget, take pictures of your kids doing things and hashtag it TPSD.
Okay.
All right. For Miss Evans, I'm Greg Ellis. Have a great weekend.